I'm a board certified music therapist, and I make content about what music therapy is and so much more. If you'd like to see more, please like, share, comment, and subscribe so that I can continue to put music therapy and myself on the world stage. So today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to talk about my music therapy journey. I don't think I've ever filmed a formal video just talking about what it was like for me to get into this field. I have officially been certified for 5 years now, which is crazy to say, but I've been certified for 5 years, and I'd like to share what I've learned, how I got here, and whatever else comes to mind. So keep on watching. So let's get started with the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Shout out to The Sound of Music. Okay, so I didn't always know that music therapy existed. I actually was blessed by my beautiful mother with the idea to start to pursue it when I was in my senior year of high school. I was coming from a math and science school. This school was like an accelerated type of vibe, and everybody going there was like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pharmacist, I want to be in the medical field. So at the time, I thought I wanted to study neuroscience. Ha ha. Which was partly true. I definitely am interested in and fascinated by the brain and how we all work as humans and the different processes that make us who we are. But I don't want to be a neuroscientist. I don't want to be a neurosurgeon. At least this is what I was telling my mom at the time. But I want to help people, and I want to be in the medical field. At the time, additionally, I was really getting into singing a lot more. I'd never really had any formal lessons or formal training before my senior year of high school, but I did start to sing in the choir. And I had found out that my vocal part was a soprano, and I was just in love with the reaction I would get when I would sing, because to me it was just like, I'm just singing, but people would just really engage with me after I would share my voice. So my mom thankfully saw that, and she said a prayer and started looking for things for me to do with the things that God has given me. So fast forward, one day she said she was scrolling on Facebook, and she had said the prayer and she put it in God's hands, and boom, there was an advertisement for music therapy. We had never heard of music therapy before this. It's still not, obviously. If you're watching this video, you're probably watching it because you want to learn more about it. It was not a widely known field, and definitely not a very diverse one. We didn't know about what music therapy was, and at the time, we just didn't know anybody who had pursued it. There wasn't like a local music therapist that we could ask about the field. So yeah, that was my first exposure to the field of music therapy through my mom, and she did so much research on where I could study and what studying looked like, and she shared that all with me. And she was sharing that there are only a handful of schools that offer music therapy, and when you go, you have to do these different mini internships, which are actually called practicums, which I'll discuss a little later in the video. And there are top schools for it, there are other schools for it. It's just depending on what you're comfortable with. So initially, when she shared all this with me, I was definitely intimidated, because I was like, oh my gosh, like here I am, this math and science kid from this school, looking to study in this field that I've never heard of, that no one's ever talked about. I'll be the first in my family and in my entire high school to pursue this. And so, as exciting as that is to say today, at the time it was very daunting, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And so my mom is just so great that she encourages me to shoot for the stars, and she really believes in me. And so she was like, you have to go to Berklee. And I had never heard of Berklee. But when I did hear about it, all I was hearing was that it's the Harvard of music schools. It's the top of the top. It's this is that. It's this is that. And only a handful of students get in there. And it's so exclusive and so competitive. And so in my mind, I'm like, girl, I'm not gonna get in there. Like, there were people who had gone to, like, there's this thing called Berklee 5 Week. They've been studying all their lives to get into this music school and working their butts off. And then here's me, just from a random place in California. I just didn't think it was gonna be in the cards for me. But God had other plans, and I'm so glad he shared them with my mom. So well, my mom explained to me what music therapy was. She also shared that it is the combination of science and music, which at the time was really exciting because, like I told you before, I wanted to do neuroscience and I was coming from math and science school. I love science. I think it's just really fascinating, and I wanted to still be in a really academic field while combining that with the arts. I've always been an artsy fartsy girl. I love colors, I love painting, I love drawing, I love music. And she found something that intertwined all of that. So when she explained it to me like that, like it's the combination of science and music, and you can use it to help people, and you can work in the medical field, like I was sold. So excited to embark on this journey. So we look at schools like Arizona State, we looked at Temple University, and we looked at Berklee College of Music, which is my alma mater. That's the school I ended up doing my undergrad at, and I had the time of my life. I met some of the greatest people ever. I had some of the greatest experiences ever. I lived on the East Coast for the first time, and as a California girl, that was just a whole new world. Like literally, I was just living my own little Disney life, and I'm so grateful. I can't express how grateful I am to my mom for just really having provision and prayer to bring this to fruition, because I don't know where I'd be without that. Berklee required for us to audition and read music in this audition and show our musicality. And I was not my best self that day. I will admit I was not my best self, but once again, shout out to my parents for being so patient with me and just speaking life into me and pouring into me. And somehow I got in with scholarship. So I was really excited to embark on this journey in Boston. I didn't know what to expect. I had never lived with anyone outside of my family. I had definitely never lived this far away from my family. And if I had ever traveled this far, they were always with me. So it was all in all a brand new experience. And that was just the beginning of my journey into music therapy. So my first semester at Berklee, it was just general ed, which is like the basic music classes, MTech, which is music technology, ear training, just learning how to sight read, learning how to write music, learning how to read music. It was just all of the basics in musicality. And then my second semester is when I auditioned and applied for the music therapy degree. So to apply for that, you had to show your proficiency in at least 4 instruments, and you had to I think we had to like write a paper or something describing why we wanted to do music therapy and what drew us to the field. And there was an interview. And so all of that happened. And at the time, did I play instruments? No, I was just a girl who liked to sing and wanted to help people with said singing. So thankfully, I was able to meet the director of music therapy through my mom before I even got in. We had taken a trip to Boston to meet Karen Wax, and she was super integral and still is integral in my journey as a music therapist. She encourages me and plugs me into different things, and she's such a powerhouse in the field. So shout out to Karen. And yeah, I got in, I started doing the classes for music therapy. That there's so many classes I could list, but there was anatomy and physiology that we took, and there was music and special education, and there was all of these different practicums. We had 5 different practicums actually. My first one was early intervention, and then my second one was older adults with Alzheimer's and dementia. My third one was the homeless population. I worked with non-English speaking women, and I helped them learn how to speak English with music. My fourth one was a psychiatric ward. That was very interesting. And then my 5th one was where I really fell in love with what I will hope to do forever, which is pediatric medical, but really just like medical in general. I love working in the medical field. That's, like I said, where I wanted to land, and thankfully in my 5th practicum, I was able to really see what that looked like. Now, in the course of my music therapy journey at Berklee, I was still very much growing into being a responsible young woman and learning how to balance school and social life and living away from home and all these different things. I was an RA while I was in school. RA stands for residential assistant. So I was juggling that job. I was also a music therapy research assistant and I worked in the office. So I definitely kept myself busy in different ways. I had auditioned for a few different things. There was this a cappella group called Pitch Slapped, and I didn't get it. And they told me to audition again, but I was just so taken aback that I didn't get it, so I never auditioned again. Yeah, I just really tried to learn more about music and making friends in a foreign place. And I'm so glad that I did that at Berklee. I had a lot of fun, and I'm still grateful for all the connections I've made, and thankfully I still have them today. So yeah, that was my time at Berklee. I can't say enough how much fun I had. Like, I always tell people I loved college. I loved college. Like, it was so much fun. I just was really blessed to have had such an arc when it comes to going from high school and just really still being so adolescent at 17, then going to school and starting a whole new chapter, and just thankfully being so protected throughout all of it. So at Berklee, I would say that what really encouraged me to continue to go forth in this field was the great revelation of faith that I had. I was always a Christian, or I've always been a Christian, but I didn't really know what that meant just for me, outside of my family and outside of like, oh, we've always been going to church, or we always have been studying the Bible or whatever. And so when I was at Berklee, I had a real come to Jesus moment, and I was doing my laundry in my dorm in 150, and I just had this moment where I was just like, this is crazy. Like, I'm really just this young Black woman from across the country studying at one of the best schools in America for what I want to do in the future. And I'm not worried about if I'm going to finish. I know I'm going to finish. I have friends here. I have people who care about me at home. I am just so blessed. And I was just so taken aback at just how not random it was and how fortunate I truly am to just be experiencing it. No matter what was going to happen, I was just so grateful to be experiencing it. And so that moment I was like, yeah, I'm going to take my faith very seriously, and I'm going to let it live through this work that I do, because I knew that being a music therapist, even just based off of how we had to apply and how we had to really state our case and why we wanted to help people and how we wanted to help people with our musicality, I knew that this was a God thing, and I knew that there was worship in this work, and I knew that this was mobilizing my ability to serve God's people. And so I really took it seriously from that point on, and I joined a prayer group, and I met wonderful people in that prayer group, and I have and had great friends who also were of the faith, and it really carried me through those harder times when it was like I wasn't doing too well in classes, or it's literally single digits outside and I'm from California and I've never been this cold in my life, but I have to go to class today. It really carried me through all of that. So yeah, Berklee brought me closer to God. It brought me this beautiful career field, and like I said, I have to thank God and my parents for making all of that possible. So let's get into the next parts of my journey. So I graduated from Berklee in 2019. Shout out to that class. We were, I think, the last class to graduate before the pandemic, the last class to walk and have a traditional concert. I sang in the commencement concert. I was actually cast as a tenor, which was my first time doing that. I am, like I said, a soprano, but I can sing alto and tenor, and I was cast as a tenor for that specific performance, and we had a great time. It was so much fun. I still have videos of us learning the dance moves and just getting ready to be on an arena stage. It was the first time I had performed in such a large venue. And we had our graduation, our traditional graduation where you walk across the stage, you grab your degree, and I strut across the stage. I was feeling so good. I was feeling so fly. Hopefully I can put like a clip of that happening in here. After I graduated, it was time for internship. So to be a music therapist, you have to do all of your undergraduate schooling, and then you have to go to your 6-month, usually unpaid. Thankfully that's changed, but your 6-month, at the time, unpaid internship. I knew I wanted to be in the pediatric medical environment, and I had applied to these different places to try and get an internship, but the pandemic was coming on up. We didn't know at the time, but it was coming up, and when I did get accepted to my internship, it was just so much unknown happening. I actually got into my internship, I think at the end of 2019, but I wasn't set to start until the beginning of 2020. And my internship, I was thankfully able to do it at UCLA Mattel Children's Hospital under the guidance of the incomparable Jenna Ballard Markovitz. She is just a godsend, truly. There have been so many representations of how God is just provisional in my journey, but being placed there with her was just, I wouldn't have changed it. Being at UCLA was just top tier. I had a great time. It was the environment I needed to be in, and I learned so much. Not just about being an active music therapist, but about taking care of yourself as a mental health clinician, as a medical clinician, you know what I'm saying? As a medical team member. It is a different game. It is a different set of just things you're exposed to, and you really have to learn how to take care of yourself and just believe that it's bigger than you. And she taught me how to do that in so many ways, and always encouraged me and always spoke life into me. So I was grateful to be placed there. I am grateful to have been placed there. I started there, and then the pandemic hit and we had to go online. And the cool thing about that is that even though obviously it was like devastating to be told that you're not going to be coming into work every day, it taught me how to become a telehealth clinician. And that became so impactful for my career, because at the time we didn't know that we would even need telehealth, because telehealth wasn't a thing. But having learned how to keep these connections that you made and build new connections virtually ended up being so helpful for my career and what I would end up doing later with my own contracting and my own work as a practicing music therapist. So shout out to that program. Shout out to Jenna. It was just such a wonderful time. So in regards to internship, I actually will be recording another video that you can definitely check out, where I'm going to talk about all the tips and tools that I used and continue to use as a practicing music therapist. I'll talk more about what the application process was like and more about what it looked like for me on a day-to-day basis, but you can check out that video. But for this video, we're just gonna keep going in my music therapy journey. So I finished my internship at UCLA. It is so wonderful, but also so bittersweet, because I'm like, oh, I'm leaving, but I knew it was good things on the horizon. And I actually was planning to go back to school. By this time, I had talked to Jenna about it, and she had her master's, and she was just telling me how it was really helpful for just being in practice and seeing more of what the field looks like, because it is so comprehensive that, you know, of course, what you get in your undergrad and in your internship is very valuable, but having a little more just definitely wouldn't hurt. So that's where I actually ended up going to my other alma mater. I went to ASU, Arizona State University, and also had another time of my life. Just so much fun and just such a blessed time to be there. I was able to hold so many different positions. I was working like 5 different positions while in school. I was a teaching assistant. I was an arts and engagement assistant. I was contracting at a bunch of different places. I had started new contracts. I had been one of the first music therapists ever to contract with the Musical Instrument Museum out there, and so much more, honestly, that I will probably have to make another video about. But I had so much fun just being able to see myself grow into the field. And that is actually where I passed my board certification test. I was studying with my good friend Serene, and she and I were just like, look, we're about to pass this test. We're going to become music therapists. And that's just that on that. And that's what we did. We studied, and just being in practice, I think, or being in practice and being in community was so valuable to feeling capable enough to pass the exam. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. Like, it wasn't easy passing that exam. I remember the studying days. It was a time I had to really buckle down and get it together. So thankfully, I passed and I became a music therapist, officially board certified in 2021, which was my first year at grad school. And so I went through grad school. It was a 2-year program. I was able to be a musician in residence, which also helped with my musicality. And just being a music therapist, of course, we're not performers solely, but a lot of us do perform. And just having the opportunity to build up your repertoire was so helpful for me. I mean, I was performing across the board, oldies, jazz, big band tunes. I was just singing. And it definitely fed my comfortability as a music therapist on guitar, and just in general, just being able to connect with people and create a therapeutic presence and share my gift in the way that will help other people. So now today, fast forward, I had my first music therapy job, my official music therapy job, when I moved back home in 2023 after graduating from my program. I held a job at an adult day center, which was very in line with where I was coming from, because I actually had contracted with an adult day center when I was in Arizona. And once I moved home, I went into the community music therapy space again. But as I said earlier in this video, my heart is in the medical field. So I knew I wanted to give back. I just didn't know how I was going to do so. And after working there for almost 2 years, I almost made it to 2 years, I applied to the job I have now, which is a board certified music therapist at Kaiser Permanente. And I am the first ever, yes, count it, first, to work in the service areas that I am serving, which also happens to be my community. I have 5 different service areas that I visit every week, and I am practicing as a music therapist in the hospice population. I've worked in hospice before. When I was a teaching assistant, I was supervising students at hospice care facilities. So I had kind of a glimpse into what it was like, but now I am the first to service the 5 service areas in the South Bay and Tri-Central regions of Southern California, which is where I'm from, which is super cool and just such a full circle moment to be able to give back to the community that raised me and share music therapy and put it on the world stage in, firstly, my community. So that's where I am today. I'm at Kaiser. I'm working in hospice, and I'm super excited to see it grow in Kaiser, not just in hospice, but in the medical hospitals, in the pediatrics realm, all over. Thankfully, I've had such a journey that has allowed me to work with so many populations. I'll probably just put them on the screen really quick. I've worked in so many populations, and this journey has definitely given me, I think, more than I could ever give it. And I'm just gonna keep on giving until I can't give no more. Today, a normal day for me looks like charting and talking with the medical team and doing rounds, which is just like what I did at UCLA. It looks like me calling patients and doing referrals like I did at UCLA, and what I did in my master's program when I was contracting. All of the things that I've learned over the course of my career have lent to where I am today, and more. What surprised me most about this job is how much I love it. I never really thought of what my work life would look like when I was younger. I just knew I wanted to help people, and I never really asked for it to be fun, but God has just blown my mind with how much I could love and feel connected to a profession. I I mean, who dreams of working, am I right? But yeah, no one really dreams of like working, but when you do something that you love, you're not working a day in your life. And granted, of course, there are hard aspects to the job. It's not just all glitz and glamour. It's not just all fun playing the guitar and jamming out with people. There's still heavy parts, and there's admin work, and there's a lot of patience that goes into birthing a new thing, to starting something new in a place that it's never been before. But as the first music therapist to service these regions at Kaiser, I must say it is just more than I could have imagined. And what surprises me most is how much I absolutely love it every single day, even amidst the harder parts. It's still all love, and it's still something I would choose to do even if I didn't get paid, because during internship I wasn't getting paid. So it's nice to see that today it's still surprising me in how it lends to not only who I am, lends to my God-given purpose, which I really believe is to serve his people through the gifts that he's placed within me, which happen to be music, art, and knowledge of medical operations and processes. So to round this video out, because it is getting long, my music therapy journey has been one that is definitely ordered by the Lord, and definitely one that is so inspiring to me every day, and one that I hope has inspired you. If you're thinking about doing music therapy, one word of encouragement I would give to you is believe. A lot of this work is believing in things that are unseen. You might see a patient who has been labeled as nonverbal, and then you go in and sing a song, and now they're singing with you and they know more words to the song than you knew. Or you might go into a session and someone is labeled as unresponsive, and you bring in your music and now they're alert and up and moving around. I would just say believe that this is something that you too can do, and believe that this is something that can bless and impact somebody outside of yourself. This work is about giving more than it is about receiving, but you receive so much from giving. So I would say believe that this is something you can do every day that you are on this journey. There are going to be times when people question you, and is that a real thing? Is music therapy a real job? Or do you just have fun all day? Or are you just singing to people all day? They will ask you those questions, and you have to believe that it's bigger than that. And you have to know that it is something that's bigger than you, and it's something that should be shared. Music therapy is so impactful because we are all impacted by music, and we can all engage in whatever ways possible, whether that's just a simple head nod, or opening your eyes, or banging it out on the drums, or jamming on a piano. Whatever that looks like, everybody has a place in music therapy, and you do too. And I hope that if this video inspired you at all, that you follow, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and come back for more so we can keep putting music therapy on the world stage. Thanks for watching. I am pursuing my doctorate. If you are willing and able, please visit the link in my description box to donate to my GoFundMe. Thank you.